English translation, Sixth Contact. Sunday, 23rd February 1975, 22:30 H.
It took a very long time until you were ready for this next contact.
It just so happened because I had to deal with various things, and was therefore constantly strained.
That can happen. But now I would like to explain more to you.
Can't that still wait? Because I myself would have something that interests me very much. Something that also preoccupies others very much, namely the life of the human being in its entirety?
As you want, but I actually wanted to give you a task and continue telling my story that I began the last time. But that can wait if you have something more important in your opinion.
Thanks, Simyase. In fact, I presently have something that seems very important to me. The life of the human being, as I said before. This means that I am interested in the development of the life, its classification, the spirit and its development, and how it is concerning the so-called rebirth.
Oh well, a field that is not just a headache for me, but on the other hand, a science that is very wide-ranging, and that has neither brought us such kinds of cognitions that the last secrets would be known to us. Therefore, concerning this, I can also only explain to you what is known to us and what we assume to be given. On the whole, there are actually only 5 very important points that we exactly know of, while 2 further points are of no certainty yet for us either. This is because they already lead us into the secrets of the creation, which is unapproachable for us too. Nevertheless, I don't want to withhold our assumptions from you. The life from the beginning to the end is divided, as said, into 7 main stages or main periods. These in turn are divided into 7 sub-periods, hence resulting in its entirety. The sub-stages or sub-periods can be compared to grades in school, except that these must not be calculated for 1 year, but for 1 human lifetime. This means that a very specific form of development and a very specific goal of development lie in a sub-stage. Once all 7 sub-stages are passed through, which can take hundreds of thousands of years, then a main period is completed. The spiritual life form is completely genderless because a gender is without exception only characteristic of organic life, which guarantees its reproduction. But organic life, like spiritual life, is subject to the law of rebirth in order to guarantee a development in both forms. Thus, every human life form has to live through 7 distinct main stages or periods, and in each case 7 associated secondary or sub-stages periods. In the case of location-dependent organic life forms, the periodic effects of the seasons are determinative, whereas in the case of spirit-evolutive or spirit-dependent life forms, such as for example the human being, the periods are irregular and are often set individually. They therefore do not fall under a very distinct cycle like plants, etc., a rebirth of the spirit-dependent human being after his or her death of the body can therefore already reoccur after fractions of a second, or however only after decades, centuries, millennia, or after hundreds of thousands of years. If a spirit-conditioned life is destroyed prematurely, that is, without it having reached a relative evolutionary goal, then it is to its disadvantage. This is because it cannot fully pass through and complete its sub-period, and must repeat, that is to say, complete this period, through an intermediate life or during a normal life cycle in order for it to nevertheless achieve the period's goal.
So that means that this life may, under certain circumstances, have to be lived a second time.
In a sense, yes, at least from the moment a life was forcibly destroyed. Accordingly, the life is naturally then also shorter, because it only has to make up for something missed in order to fulfill the period's goal. The whole thing, however, can be made up during a normal life cycle, as the case may be.
So then one could call it that it would be the hell, a punishment, so to speak.
Sure, because hell in truth means a self-inflicted punishment which must be served, always providing that the life is destroyed, that is to say, ended by oneself. In other words, this means that a sin, a self-caused error, must be made good again. If, however, the life is destroyed by the hand of a third party, then of course one cannot speak of punishment or atonement, etc.
Aha, so then hell and sin in a religious sense are of pure nonsense.
Viewed that way, yes.
So does this then mean that nobody is met with guilt? If he or she makes errors in life, which he or she can make up for in the form that he or she recognizes the error, or whatever one wants to call it, no longer making it and takes it in as knowledge, from which then a degree of essence of the wisdom must result.
You are able to astonish me because your interpretation meets the deepest core of the truth. More and more, we all get the impression that you know more than we do, and that you only want to test us. Somehow, a secret surrounds you, which we are not able to reveal.
That is too much of glory, Simya-se, because this essence of wisdom was not cultivated in my own field. I got it from the Talmud Emmanuel.
I understand, but still, I see that it is also your conviction, and thus my astonishment is justified by it. But so is our conjecture, which I just made known to you.
You actually amuse me, because do you really need justification?
Naturally not, and you understand the sense of my words exactly. Thus, please don't split hairs and don't make jokes with me.
I just wanted to have you on.
I do not understand that.
It means that I allowed myself a joke.
Oh, I see. I did not know that. That expression is new to me. However, on the other hand, your words again testify to your peculiar sense of humor, as well as to the fact that we could be right with our conjecture.
I just cannot find everything funny and laugh about things that other human beings can laugh about. Their sense of humor often seems primitive to me. And now just stop the conjectures.
Laughing. That is known to me very well, and I have often enjoyed your peculiar sense of humor. Well, let's leave the conjectures aside in the future. Let's let time do its work.
That's all I needed. Was there no other way?
Laughing again, I also like to laugh.
That makes me happy. But now we have strayed from our conversation.
You are right, because I still have to explain a few things regarding your question. The 7 main stages, or main periods, each represent one full period, with in turn their 7-fold subdivisions. You would say that this would be one semester. Therefore, in your sense, this would be called a semester life, during which 7 different subjects have to be completed. I want to explain this to you schematically. Primary Life 1, primary development of the intellect and the consciousness. 2, primary intellectual and consciousness-based thinking. 3, primary intellect-based thinking. 4, primary use of intellect and consciousness power. 5, primary intellectual actions. 6, primary willful thinking and acting. 7, intellectual conduct of the life. Life forms in these stages are designated by already rationality-endowed beings as mentally ill in consciousness, as idiots, etc., whose consciousness and intellect, however, are in reality simply not yet developed in knowledge-based terms new spirit, who has to first form itself through learning and experience, etc. Rationality-based life 1, primary development of rationality. 2, effective realization of the rationality and its use. 3, primary recognition and acknowledgement of higher influences. 4, belief in higher influences without having knowledge. 5, belief in higher powers, deluded belief, fear of evil, veneration of what is good, etc., and so on. Germination time for religions, etc. Present stage of the average Earth human 6. Primary recognition of the real reality. Stage of knowledge-based development. Research, first spiritual cognitions and their use, spiritual healing, telepathy, etc., etc. 7. Primary development of knowledge and essence of wisdom. Intellect-based life 1. High-level development of the intellect. High technology, second use of spiritual power with first cognitions. Primary procreation of life forms. Present stage of the educated earth human, Ga, scientists, etc. 2. Realization and use of knowledge, truth, and essence of wisdom. Slow reduction of belief assumptions. 3. First utilization of knowledge and essence of wisdom. 4. Recognition and utilization of the laws of nature. Creation of hypertechnology. Second procreation of life forms. 5. Natural use of knowledge and essence of wisdom in recognition of spiritual powers. Further reduction of belief assumptions. 6. Life in the knowledge of the essence of wisdom, truth, and the logic. Present stage of some few borderline and humanities scholars. 7. Primary recognition of the reality as real absolutum. Real life 1. Clear knowledge about the reality as real absolutum. 2. Recognition of the spiritual knowledge and the spiritual essence of wisdom. 3. Utilization of the spiritual knowledge and the spiritual essence of wisdom. 4. Recognition of the reality of the creation and her laws. Your present stage, which is already tending toward the next 1-5, life according to the creational laws. Clarification of the spirit and the intellect. Recognition of the real task and power of the spirit. Total reduction of all belief assumptions. 6. Deliberate and directed utilization of spiritual and consciousness-based powers. 7. Procreation of first viable life forms. Creational life 1. Procreation and direction of life forms. 2. Creation of machine apparatus-based viable life forms. 3. Development of spiritual and consciousness-based power for the control of material and organic life forms. Present stages of our races 4. Willful control of the life and all its forms and species. Stage of recognitions. Recollections of past lives, etc. 6. Essence of wisdom kingship, Germers Ishwish. The second to last, highest might knowledge. 7. Recognition of the spiritual peace, the universal love, and the creational harmony. Spiritual life 1. Acknowledgement and realization of the spiritual peace, the universal love, and the creational harmony. 2. Life in purely spiritual forms. 3. Spiritual creations. 4. Disembodiment of the spirit from organic bodies. 5. First spiritual existence. 6. Final spiritual existence. 7. Transition into the creation. Creation life 1. Twilight sleep over 7 periods eternities. 2. Awakening and beginning of creating in the creation as creation during 7 periods eternities. 3. Creating of life forms. 4. Creating of new spirit 1.1 in the relative absolute fulfillment of the creation. 5. Creation of spiritual greatness in the creation. 6. Relative absolute fulfillment of the creation in the creation. 7. Last attaining of highest absolutely full development of the 7th period, eternity. The twilight sleep of the creation outlasts 7 periods eternities, great times. 3 11,000 40,000 years amount to 1 period eternity, great time. By the twilight sleep of the creation, all life and the entire universe cease to exist. Only after her newly awakening does she begin to create everything anew. During her twilight sleep there is neither space nor time, there is only the nothing, since they lie asleep in the unending womb of the creation and the null time. If there is no creating thought, then there is also no power, no time, and no space. There is only duration in the nameless nothing.
Now I am a lot smarter.
You will get over it and work it out, probably sooner than me.
I hope I can do that, even though it will cause me some headaches, especially the nameless nothing, with which I have never made ends meet with until now.
Laughing, well, you will probably keep your head. But concerning the nameless nothing, don't think too much about it, for it is also a mystery to us which we cannot solve. But now it is again time for me, for I must go. What I really wanted to tell you, I now have to postpone until the next time, unless you consider something else as more important. However, I understand that you were very concerned with what I had just said, and that you wanted clarity about it. I gave it to you, in accordance with how I know that. Now, don't you actually know it better?
Of course, Simyase, and I thank you for that. Now you know it. But I still have a question, if you allow me. It is about the Talmud Emmanuel and the entrusted one by whose fault the original scrolls were destroyed, as you told me at an earlier time. With this entrusted one, do you mean Monsieur Rashid, and if so, what are the connections between him and you?
This was bound to happen, and I see that next time I will first have to give you information about these things. Yes, it concerns Rashid, whom we had won for our tasks. But unfortunately, he has failed in many things. For too long, he was dependent on the unreality of religion, so that it could grow roots in him, which often allowed him to think and act illogically. A fact that unfortunately cannot be made good again. But I cannot any longer talk about this now, because I am especially pressed for time today. Next time, however, you shall receive information. Also, there's still time for everything else, and there is no reason to rush it.
Thanks, Simyase. You are very accommodating with me.
There is no reason for thanks, and now, till we meet again.